There is a point when you cannot walk away, when you have to stand straight and tall and mean the words.
I remember slow motion falling backwards and thinking, I am going to die. I'm going to die. And that's it. My best efforts couldn't keep me up on that fence, and I'm falling backwards and I'm going to die. But nowhere, and I knew that God, what I expected was fully that as I was falling backwards, that God would not let me feel the impact of that fall. I trusted God in just that. And so as I felt that hand behind me, I thought, wow, see, God came through. He wouldn't have let me feel the impact.
All it takes is a point of light, a ray of hope in the darkest night. If you see what's wrong and you try to make it right, you will be a point of light.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Point of Light podcast. I'm Joseph Miller, and this week I'm interviewing Sister Kathy McGowan. Sister Kathy, will you say hello to everyone?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure, Sister Kathy. Now, I've been going to the same church as you for as long as I can remember, but I don't know your story as to when that started. So that's kind of what I'm asking you about today. What led you to Idaho?
Well, I moved to Idaho in May of 1998, so I've been here for quite some time. So where do I begin? I guess it began when I met Brother Dan Martin. Okay. And that is a very, interesting story, and I believe it was a God thing, you know? Sometimes God puts people in your way, and you don't know why or how, but the timing is just right. And I felt like the timing for me and Brother Dan to meet, some people might say it's unbelievable, but I'll tell you how that began.
Okay.
So I met Brother Dan, I believe it was in 1997, 96, because my first year in Genoa was 1997. So it had to be around 1996.
Okay.
And I moved here in 98. So, so we were called in on a family situation. And so if I can just bring you to this point in my life that I don't think I will ever quite forget. So you can just imagine he and I and these family members were standing on the side of a 6-lane busy highway. And it was raining and it was nighttime, so it was dark. And I was standing there. I remember standing there on the side of the road as I watched this family member run across this crazy 3-lane highway, 3-lane on our side, right? And what divided the two was a tall chain link fence. So this family member dashes across, and I see this, and I'm thinking, what do I do? You know, what do I do in this situation? And I guess I went on autopilot because I just saw myself following this individual across. I don't know how I made it across this highway. I really don't. But I do remember getting over and climbing this fence. And you can imagine it's raining, it's dark, and I'm trying to hold on. I am a city girl, so I know nothing about climbing fences.
And this fence is in the middle of the 6-lane highway? Is that right?
Yes.
It's separating.
So it's like the median is this chain link fence, and it's really tall. So if you climb over, you're gonna fall on the other side, and you're gonna die. I mean, there's nowhere to go, right?
Wow. Right.
So I ran across my side of that road, and here I am scaling this fence, and it's raining and it's dark, and I'm trying to hold on, but it's hard because the person I'm trying to get is kicking my hands, not saying very nice, encouraging words to help me get them down, but just opposition at every end. And what I remember that night is looking up, and I'm holding on to this fence, and I can see that I'm trying to hold on, and my hands get kicked at the right way to where I can see my hands letting go of the fence, and I am falling backwards. And
Wow.
it's almost slow motion. I know it may seem like it's something from a story, but I remember falling back and thinking, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And at that moment, I
Because
felt
you were just falling into a highway, right?
Yes. So if you can imagine 6 lanes, 3 going one way, 3 coming the other, very busy. And I'm on the side of this fence, and I am falling back into traffic.
Wow.
And I see my hands coming off of the fence, and I can feel it's like slow motion, but I felt myself falling back. And then all of a sudden I felt a hand on my back. And honestly, my thought was, oh, wow, God is so good to me that he won't let me feel the impact of the fall. Like, to me, my eyes were closed, and I thought, I'm not going to feel this. This is great. God's holding me, and I felt suspended in air, and I thought, well, this might be like how death feels like, you're suspended in air. And then I decided to turn my head back, and I saw Brother Dan's face. He climbed the fence as well. And his hand was on my back. And he said, I got you. I can't even tell you what I felt like. I'm not dead. I'm not dead, and he pushed me forward, and he said, now go get that person. Go get him. Together, me and him brought this individual right back down to safety. Like,
that's amazing.
To me, that was amazing.
So, were you close to Brother Dan? How long had you known him? So what was because you said it felt like, it seems you didn't expect him to be there at all, right?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that's what makes this so special for me. Sorry. I only knew him seriously, I think, less than a week, 2 or 3 days. Maybe I saw him that one time, that Sunday previously in church. I had no reason to communicate with him, right?
Right.
Until we were called into this situation together. We just,
so he was like a visiting minister?
He was a visiting minister. And I was just visiting. I was at church, and he was just a visiting minister. And so I saw him, I don't even remember if after that service, that Sunday, because I think this happened I saw him in church on Sunday, and then that following week this happened, maybe that weekend. So I don't even remember shaking his hand after church. Like, I don't remember. I probably did, but it was just like a visiting minister. I probably would never see him again,
Right.
I don't know. And so here we are, called into this situation. And I think those couple of days, because this happened within like a day or two of getting the situation resolved, I must have it was like 3 or 4 days, 3 days, maybe. And what gets me about that is because he was a stranger. Really, when you think of it, he didn't know me. He knew my family members, right? Everybody knows Brother Lavelle was my brother-in-law, and my sister, I have other family members in the message. So he knew of my family, but he didn't know me. Maybe he heard of me. And what gets me is this total stranger that here we are, we happen to be in this situation, came through for me. And honestly, when I think about it, I feel like God sent an angel for me, because he had no reason to cross that busy highway. None.
Right.
At all. And really, I know, I just think about that, and I think he didn't have to do it. He didn't know me. And if anybody knows Brother Dan, he's never in it for honor. I think that was a very selfless act that he did he saw someone that was in need, and he was there, and he didn't let fear stop him. He crossed this busy highway for a stranger.
Well, yeah. So
And
you crossed the busy highway for a family member, like, but there was no.
I think that's what you're supposed to do.
No,
it was family,
absolutely.
right?
Right, but
So
Brother
I
Dan's not
didn't-
your family member, so this was you were
right.
just falling off the
So
fence.
why?
You know, with no
Yeah,
idea
why?
that there was someone behind you.
No, I honestly, I promise you, when I saw my hands falling off, like when I lost contact with the fence and I was falling backwards, I felt that. It was slow motion, but I felt, and I thought, I'm going to die. Because honestly, I did not think anybody else would cross that road. I really didn't think that. Why? Why? And yet here is this stranger. I turn around and I'm looking to a face of a stranger. But to me, at that moment, was an angel. And he
Right.
saved my life, literally, right? Literally saved my life. And I'm here today because if someone didn't cross that busy highway for me, like I crossed for that family member, I would not be here today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to enter into what you were feeling in that moment because, I mean, I've had a situation where it felt like I was facing certain death before. And just knowing that, because it wasn't that it's not like you don't word it as you didn't know that he was behind you. It's more that you knew you were going to die and all of a sudden you were saved. But what's striking to me is how, like, of
Yes.
all the people, just how real it is that God sent you an angel. I mean, somebody might say, well, that was, you just got lucky that someone was there that was brave enough to do that. And it's thanks to so-and-so, but it's not, it's like, it wasn't that he was there to help with the family matter. It was that he was right behind you when you fell off the fence. That is the life-changing moment. But that is that point of light for your story, is that God sent an angel and placed him right behind you at that moment and saved your life.
Yes.
That's
yes.
beautiful.
And when I think of it in my story, because you said what brought me here, I think it had to be Brother Daniel, because after that, we're safely on ground. After that, I remember going to him and I said, I'm crying,
Mm-hmm.
What do I do? I don't really, like I said, he's still a stranger to me, right?
Right.
Though now I regard him highly because he just did something not most people would do, right? But you have to think he had to risk his own life crossing that busy highway, okay? Just he could have maybe not have made it.
Right.
Just to come get me. Like
he didn't know he was crossing the highway to catch you. Right? He crossed the highway when you crossed the highway.
Didn't. He had no idea. Yeah. So he was probably crossing that highway to help that family member. Like, I don't think he thought he was going for me at all. Like, just, and I have to think it had to be Brother Dan, because even after that conversation, I was saying to him, what do I do? What do I do? I didn't leave Florida. That's where I was, on good terms with my parents. So it was hard, I was in my 20s, like, I'm headstrong, I don't want to go back, but I had my own things that I had to deal with, and I wasn't ready to deal with it. And I just thought, what do I do? What do I do? Where do I go? And he said, would you like to go? No, before he even said that, he said, the one thing I can tell you is to never go back. You always need to move forward. And I said, okay, I get that. And so I don't know what forward is, because I don't have anywhere to go, right? Mm-hmm. I can't go back to my parents. And the situation that I'm in now, I don't know if I can stay here.
You couldn't go back to your parents, which were in Florida, or who were in Florida, right, because you left on bad terms with them?
We left. Yeah, it wasn't great.
So where were you at the time?
I was living in Boston at the time.
Okay. And this is where you were attending the church that the family matter, that family situation happened?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so,
And so,
and you said you couldn't stay there because of just that whole situation kind of
well,
thing, or?
after this happened, you know, you're just kind of disillusioned. Like, what do I do? Like, I don't,
Right.
something has to happen. I need to either move forward, I need to do something, but I can't stay where I'm at, right? And I didn't even know what that meant. I didn't know if that meant I had to move out or I needed, I just knew that something had to change because that was crazy that I'm like, you know, you're still shaking over the fact that here I just escaped death, right? Like it was
Absolutely, yeah.
surreal, right? And so what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do.
So God
And
did
he's,
something so big for you, and now what was your what ended up being the change that, you know, how did you move forward?
so when I was spoken, I remember, so he must have went back into his room because, you know, because things were settling and I had to go back home or anything. I remember having to call him back out, going back and saying, I need to speak to Daniel Martin. And they had to call him back out. I think that's how it, I can't, sorry, it's like a blur. But anyway, he came back out to speak to me. And that's when he was, because I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to do, right? It's raining. What do I do from here? And he's, because I thought there's no
Not
one
just
out
like
that I,
big picture, what do I do, but literally in this minute.
like in this moment, what do I do? Like, I don't even know what to do. Like, I don't know where to go, I don't know what, yeah, I didn't know what next steps to take. What are the next steps, you know, like, and he just said to me, all I know is that if it was me, like, I know you should always move forward. You should always move forward. You don't want to go back. And so I knew back at that moment, I thought back is Florida, right? And I'm not ready to face that right now. I mean, I probably could, but I don't have time, right? To deal with my things, to go back. And so he said, would you like to move to Idaho? And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that is.
from Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. And right. So like, and before Boston, I was living in Brooklyn. Right. And so I'm sorry. So let me go back. So before Boston, I was living in Brooklyn. Before Brooklyn, I was in Florida.
Okay.
So when I left home, I went to Brooklyn to live with family. And then I was just I was just going from house to house, from family to family, right? And here I am now in Boston. That's just, you know, trying to find, I was in my early 20s. I guess I was trying to find myself, you know? So I was house hopping between family members. And so now I happen to be in Boston. And so it was just like, where do I go? Because I can't go back to Brooklyn. I surely can't go back to Florida. And so when he said Idaho, it was just like, what? what is that? And he said, I remember saying, I don't have any money. I can't afford a ticket. He said, I didn't ask you if you had any money. I just asked if you would like to come to Idaho. And at that point, I got nothing.
No options, right?
Okay, sure. And I said yes, you know, and I have to say it was at that point that relationship between me and Brother Dan, that friendship began, right? Because what happened next, because I thought, okay, he's going to send me a ticket through the mail and I guess that's it. Thanks a lot. I wasn't expecting in the days to follow for him to call and check up on me. Like, hi. And it was like, I don't know. I didn't even know how to deal with that. Like, he's calling back and he's checking up on me. Like, be good, right? Like, you're going to get me the ticket? Like, why are you, like, I didn't understand why. And it was just, oh, he's just being nice. Oh, okay. He's, you know, so yeah, that was the beginning of a friendship that was blossoming, you know, and he called me almost every other day, check up on me. How are you doing? Is everything okay? Are you still holding on there? Yes, I am. Things are great. He told me when he purchased the ticket, when I should expect it. And that was in 98. I moved to Idaho in May of 1998. And I moved he sent Snooks and Mandy Cook to the airport to pick me up. And they took me straight to Murphy to live behind the post office with Josh and Nicole Dutton. And that was in May of 98.
And that's something.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it's real. Every now and then I think about that, and I think, you know, how God made it to where I had to come to Idaho. Because I kept thinking, what other ways could this have gone? What if he never showed up? You know, maybe it was an invite. And what if he said he couldn't have made it? You know, there are times when a minister is asked to come and they can't make it for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But it seems like everything was like green light. Okay. Like he made it. He was there at the right time. He crossed the road. You know, everything just fell into place. So it was like he was able to get out of the way and be used. And and it made an impact on someone like me, on me. It made an impact in my life. This one person, which makes it even more special, that I had no ties or bond to. We did, like I said, I think 3 or 4 days, maybe tops, that I knew him, you know, to go out of their way for a stranger. And even that, to cross the road for a stranger, a busy highway.
So because he was a stranger, because this wasn't at the time, this wasn't Brother Dan catching you when you fell. What did that feel like? One more time, as we kind of wrap this up. Remind us what it felt like when you lost hold of that fence and what exactly caught you.
So what I remember was my best efforts to hold on to that chain fence, that fence, and I lost hold. And I remember slow motion falling backwards and thinking, I am going to die. I'm going to die. And that's it. My best efforts couldn't keep me up on that fence, and I'm falling backwards and I'm going to die. But nowhere, and I knew that God, what I expected was fully that as I was falling backwards, that God would not let me feel the impact of that fall. I trusted God in just that. And so as I felt that hand behind me, I thought, wow, see, God came through. He wouldn't have let me feel the impact. But then when I turned my head and I saw Brother Daniel Martin's face.
Complete stranger, right?
Like complete stranger.
Complete, but, you know.
Well, yeah, in a way.
Pretty
And
much.
and he says, I got you. Like, what? And he just propelled me forward, like, go. You know, that, wow, God cares. And he sent an angel to rescue me, to literally save my life, That is amazing. It's a testimony that no one can take away from me ever. Yeah, that was my point of light, that God sent an angel, physical angel, right?
Right.
To save my life.
Praise the
Lord. I'm forever grateful.
That is so beautiful. We appreciate your time. Thank you for sharing with us. I know this is going to bless a lot of people. Whoever hears this and hasn't heard it before, it's going to be an amazing testimony, but a reminder even. And I know just for me as a young person that's grown up in church, knowing all of the people that are here already, people my age and younger don't always know what everybody else's story is. And there's not always an opportunity. It doesn't always seem right. You don't tell your testimony constantly, right? Or every testimony, because there's so many. And I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime, because I know you've got more testimonies, but
God's been good to me.
Amen. Me too. Well,
thank you for having me on today.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much, and God bless. Wanted to give a reminder to our listeners. We talk about it being a light, and if we just will listen and do our best to follow God and ask Him to guide us, we can be that angel at the right time. We can be that point of light for someone else, like the song says. And I guess if we have anything to close with, is that we'd ask you to be willing to share your light with someone else. Whether it's like Sister Kathy and sharing a testimony that is going to help somebody along their way, whether it's buying somebody a coffee, whether it's, just if you feel like you ought to do something for somebody else, I'd probably go with that. Anyway, we just want you to take this with you, have something to take with you, and spread your light with the rest of the world. God bless you.
All it takes is a point of light, a ray of hope in the darkest night. If you see what's wrong and you try to make